with this Mark's Reviews and Tutorials video, you are in for a treat. You're going to hear from Mrs. Mark's Reviews and Tutorials about seats, seat poles and heights. She's quite the writer, so here we go.
So on this particular Canyon, you have a Selle Italia seat, comes standard with this particular model. Selle Italia are the specialists in bike seats and saddles. They don't seem to make anything else other than saddles. You'll notice here this particular saddle is got a lot of significant design and thought put to it. A lot of the seats, the trend these days is to have a gap in the middle here, and that's about not transferring vibration to your sit bones and to your legs, hips as you're riding. You'll also notice too here that you have a flap on the back part of the saddle that tilts down, which is exactly what happens when to your legs, your hips as you're in that motion. Increases the comfort and therefore increases your duration of cycling. Everyone has a specific saddle and seat height that is totally determined on the width of your sit bones, which are the bones on which you sit, hence why they're called sit bones, and it also is completely dependent on your leg length. So the best way to approach getting your saddle and your seat height uniquely set up and comfortably set up for you is to sit on your saddle, put your foot down onto the pedal at its lowest point here, and your leg should be slightly bent when you are seated. You don't want your legs straight, you want it slightly bent when you're seated, and that will give you a more accurate saddle height and comfortable saddle height.
Where should you put your foot? Would it be like with the ball of your foot here? Because you're putting the center of your foot here when you're measuring for the seat.
When you're measuring for the seat, put your foot in the middle of the pedal there.
Okay,
that is the longest range, the lowest and longest range of your leg when it's stretched out and seated on the saddle. Now, if you don't get your saddle height and your stem height right, you will then get soreness on your rear end, but more importantly, you're more liable to knee injuries. You definitely don't want to get knee injuries. You don't want to get knee soreness. You don't want to get strains on your knees. So your saddle height is really, really important, a key part of cycling comfort.
The seat is very particularly shaped. And you've talked before about that style of seat is matched to the style of handlebars, to the hoops. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, you will find that this particular type of bike riding compared to a flat bar, your body is transferred a lot further forward. So your seat, your saddle, the back of your saddle here becomes less important in terms of having a thickness to it. When you are flat barred riding, you're more in an upright seat position, and so there's more weight that goes onto the saddle here. This type of bike, your weight is forward, so your saddle in some ways, while it's still really important, it's not as important for when you're riding flat bar bike.
Okay, now something I noticed about this seat, when it first turned up on the bike, I thought, oh my gosh, that's going to be so hard and so uncomfortable. But there's actually flex. This material here, I call it plastic, it's probably a lot more than that, but there's actually sponge and flex in this. So it's not all like a solid seat like a normal flat bar bike seat would be. So it's not only just that little bit of, very good quality flex and rubber through there, but it's also the plastic itself. If we come around behind, you can see that this plastic actually flexes, so that gives you that shock and bump absorption as well. So extremely clever design. Selle Italia. Have a look at the links in the description. We've got a place where you can buy a seat like this at a good price.